In a recent video, I went on a bit of a rant about attribution of visual images. And as an example, I was showing you how difficult it really is to get proper attribution. So I was showing my path of going down the rabbit hole of trying to find the attribution of this image of Osiris, an Egyptian god. I didn't explain any of it. It was just happening in the background while I was ranting over it about how important it is and how you're not really getting the full context of what people are discussing unless they give you attribution and you can really trust them, right? Okay, the thing is, I don't think it made much sense. Even though I was showing this all in the background and I had some words overlaying it, I think it was a little bit hard to follow. So today I'm going to go through it again and narrate for you a little bit better what I was trying to do as I was searching for that particular image of Osiris, which I failed. And that's why I would never use that particular image in any of my videos. This is the detangler, where the whole point is to detangle the meaning of hair as it appears in art, rituals, and legends. Although today I'm not talking about hair, but it's my channel. And I can go off on these tangents if I want. So join me. Okay, I'm watching the video now. So this is the image that I have found, and I want to see if I can narrow it down, right? I look at it on Wikipedia and I see that it says it's in the Egyptian Museum of Cairo. Well, that's a really good start, because if something's in a proper museum, then I feel like they're the custodians of this sculpture, so they should really know what it's about. So I search for Egyptian Museum, Cairo, Osiris statue, and I'm looking at all the results here, and I do see mine, but it's the same Wikipedia article. I'm looking and looking and looking, and everything that I see from the Egyptian Museum is not the same statue. So now I'm just going to the museum website itself, because on some museum websites you can search their database, which is wonderful. Not this one though. So now I'm doing a little Google search where hopefully the museum and the statue are in the same Google search. But no luck. The only Osiris statue I can find at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo is a different one. So I go back to my original image that I want to look for, and I try doing an image search on this. And what I'm looking at are a bunch of other images of Osiris, and I can see that there's a lot of similarity between them. That's because Osiris comes with his own iconography, but none of them are exactly the same statue. So I go back up to the top where I see 12 results that are the exact same image. And I'm looking through them, and none of them seem to really come from what I would consider legitimate sources. Legitimate sources for images are definitely museums are the best, because they own it. They're responsible for it. They're custodians of this artifact. Anyway, I go and I check every single one of these sites, and none of them have any better attribution. Most of them don't have any at all. So that's my process. When I find an image, when I find an artifact, I look for it hopefully in the museum or maybe the auction house where it was sold, because as the custodians of that artifact, they are responsible for letting you know the most up-to-date information that they have about this object. When I can't find it in a museum, then I look for other, what I consider to be reputable sources. So art historians, scholarly articles, if they have attribution, I tend to trust those. And then beyond that, you know, I don't trust things like Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. I might use them as leads to get me to a place with reputable attribution. But in the case of this Osiris, I couldn't find it at the museum that it was said that it was at, and maybe it is there, but I couldn't find proof of it. Every single one of the images of this particular Osiris was the exact same image. So that tells me that somebody found it somewhere and they just keep reusing it. You know, when you find an object and there's multiple images of the same one, it tends to seem more real, like multiple people have taken pictures of this object. And when you find multiple images of the same object on the web, people tend to label it, you know, you get a little more triangulation of data. Whereas with this one, it was only ever the same exact image, sometimes labeled from the Cairo Museum, sometimes not labeled at all. Couldn't find it at the museum, so in the end I had to just give up. So if I cared a little bit less about attribution, I might have just shown you that Osiris image, and maybe it wouldn't matter, you know? Maybe I'm just trying to say this is the iconography associated with Osiris. But when I show an image, if it's ancient Egyptian in this case, I want to say at least what kingdom it's from, preferably what dynasty it's from, generally speaking, where it was found, where you can find it now. Those are the kinds of things that are important. So I hope that explained it to you a little bit better about the kinds of things that I'm looking for when I'm trying to track down the attribution for objects that I put into my videos. Toodaloo! This is important to me. For example, I had to abandon loads of photos that might have been used for my ancient Egyptian video because I couldn't find the attribution. Were they modern forgeries? Looted artifacts? AI generated? Who knows? I certainly don't know, but I'm not going to go and show you stuff and claim that it illustrates my points when I really don't know for sure. When I did my ancient Greek video, I came upon loads of images that were clearly Renaissance or modern, but were labeled as ancient Greek or Roman, which is not cool. It's lazy and misleading. Even in my video about David Hammons, who's still alive and more likely to be written about in a scholarly context, I found different versions of How You Like Me Now with absolutely no explanation as to why it looked different from the official one.